The Pentagon has announced the creation of a new position that will be responsible for coordinating the department's data and artificial intelligence efforts. The Chief Digital and AI Officer will report to the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Bob Work was Deputy Secretary of Defense from 2014 to 2017. He is co-chair of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. Secretary Work, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
So there are three offices, the Defense Digital Service, the JAIC, and the Chief Data Officer. They'll now be under this new position, which is called Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Officer, CDAO. There has to be an acronym. How have these three offices worked together in the past, if at all?
Well, this isn't a means by which to consolidate the work of several different offices, as you have said, and to start to try to make sense and make further advancements on the digital transformation of the Department of Defense. So the JAIC, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, which has been in existence for several years, will now kind of dissolve, and the CDAO will take over the JAIC's responsibilities. And as you said, the Defense Digital Service, this is for lack of a better word, a digital SWAT team. They can go anywhere in the Department of Defense and to help people who are having problems in software and really get to the heart of the matter. They're extremely good. They've helped the department solve big problems in their software. And then the Chief Data Officer, which was created to try to get all of the department's data in a usable manner, it will still report under the Chief Information Officer as required by Congress. But I think the expectation is over the course of the next year, the department will ask Congress for a legislative relief and move the CDO, I'm using too many acronyms, the Chief Data Officer underneath the Chief Digital and AI Officer.
All right, so this new position will report directly to the Deputy Secretary of Defense. That's the office you once held. Is this new position a good idea?
I believe it is. There has been some confusion over the responsibilities of all of these different offices, and all of the offices were reporting essentially to the Deputy Secretary, who has an enormous span of control problem. So by bringing them underneath one individual who will talk with the Deputy Secretary, it will help the Deputy Secretary really focus on the problems that matter, and it will help all of these different disparate offices start to work better together. So I think it is a good idea.
I mean, do you think the three organizations should just be merged into one? I mean, are they really going to be separate at this point?
Well, legislation has generally said what you can do at this point. So legislation requires that the CDO be underneath the Chief Information Officer. DDS was established by the department, not legislated, but the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, Congress said that must report to the Deputy Secretary. So this first memo basically is saying, okay, working within legislation as it exists now, this is the best first step. They're going to bring in a gentleman by the name of Jim Mitri. Jim Mitri will be a senior advisor to the SecDef, Deputy Secretary. And by February, Jim's job is to write a memo to the Deputy Secretary and say, this is how we should shape all of this up over the long term. And then the fully operationally capable CDAO will come into effect on June 1st next year. So this is the first step. Jim Mitri comes in as more or less the acting CDAO and will try to make sense of everything and make a recommendation to Secretary Hicks. Secretary Hicks will approve. Things will start to move out on 1 February. And by 1 June, hopefully they'll be kind of an understanding between the department and Congress what is the best way forward.
Secretary Work, I want to pivot a little bit to talk a little bit about the JAIC, because a couple of months ago, the director of that center, Lieutenant General Michael Groen, had said that most of the Pentagon's data is, quote, and I'm quoting him, crap. What's wrong with the data?
Well, the data is all over the place. It's very difficult to get to. That's the first problem. Then the data may not be in a form that can be used by algorithms in machine learning applications. And so what he was talking about is, okay, let's find out where all the data is. Let's get access to all the data. Let's review the data and see what type of shape it's in, and say, how will we use this data, and is the data in good shape to do what we want to do? Secretary Hicks has said, look, we want a data-centric department. We want our decisions kind of informed by data. We would like our operations informed by data. And moving to machine learning applications across the department will require us to really have a handle on where the data is, how good a shape it is in, and making sure that it can be used in the ways that we want to.
All right. Well, Secretary Work, nice to talk to you as always. Thank you very much.
It was great to be here. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
You too.